Today, we're going to talk about how to make a steak dinner that is totally Bright Line Eating compliant. I know that a steak dinner might not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's totally fine. If you want to stick around, I'll show you how to make some asparagus and a side salad for your dinner as well. If steak is not your thing, that's cool. You can always substitute whatever protein you like. But what we're going to talk about today is a celebratory dinner. So if you're getting ready for Valentine's Day, whether you are just having some self-love on Valentine's Day and making yourself a beautiful compliant dinner, or if you're making dinner for special someone, or if you have a birthday coming up or anything to celebrate, having a celebratory meal is totally okay and totally within the realm of this program. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to jump right into it because we kind of have an ambitious agenda for today. First of all, I'd like to point out my beautiful Bright Line Eating sweatshirt that I have on today, which is so cozy and warm, and I love it. And you can get these in the Bright Line Eating Emporium, and the link for that is right in the description. But I might get a little splattery today, so I'm going to put on an apron over top of it. So what we're going to make today is a dinner, and our dinner consists of a protein on the Bright Line Eating Weight Loss Program. Dinner consists of a protein, 6 ounces of vegetables, and an 8-ounce salad. And we're going to do just that. If you've got something, you know, a celebration, and you want to make something special for dinner, you do not need a fancy recipe or anything like that. You need just some good quality food, in my opinion, something nice, something that you enjoy eating. And you can make a very simple meal that is delicious and beautiful and special. So steak is one of those things that you don't usually have every day. It's a little bit more on the expensive side when it comes to proteins. So for this celebratory dinner, you can have it for Valentine's Day, whatever, I'm making steak. So we're going to start with the steak. The first thing that I'm going to do with the steak, it's important to know when you're cooking steak, the best thing to do is to start with it at room temperature. So I've had this steak out for about an hour. And also it's important to know how big your steak is as well. I just want to show you that I have already measured out for my fat in this meal. I'm going to use olive oil, and I'm going to use this on both my steak and the asparagus. So I am measuring this out. 1/2 ounce of olive oil is 1 fat serving. So I have 1/2 ounce of olive oil here. I just went a little bit over. I'm going to do the Susan Pierce Thompson trick with that. She showed this in a video last year one time. Take a napkin and dip it in there. Look at that. I soaked up a little tiny bit, and we're back down to 1/2 ounce. Good to go. Okay, so I have my 1/2 ounce of olive oil here. Now this steak right now weighs 6 ounces. I weighed it before I started. And all I'm going to do is I have a little pastry brush here. You don't need one of these. You can just dump the oil on if you want to, but I like to have a little bit more control. I'm going to rub the steak on both sides with olive oil. I'm not going to go back into that dish because I'm touching raw meat. And I'm going to use the rest of this olive oil on my asparagus. So just rub it with a little bit of olive oil. Now the steak I have here, this is 6 ounces. And the reason that I'm pointing that out, yes, you do usually weigh your food after it's been cooked. However, it's kind of important to know, especially if you're cooking a whole piece of meat, approximately how much weight you're going to lose when it cooks. So with steak, you tend to lose about 25% of the weight. So if you want a 4-ounce portion, which is the women's portion for meat for dinner, you would start with about a 6-ounce steak. So after olive oil, you don't need to do anything fancy with steak to make it taste good. You give it a little rub of olive oil, this is just black pepper that I've got here. I'm putting some black pepper on there, and then a nice salt is good to have, a sea salt, a fleur de sel, sea salt, a kosher salt. I have this one, it's called Malden sea salt. I use it all the time on everything. And this has a nice texture to it, crunchy. You don't want to grind up your salt when you're putting it on the steak, because that will draw all the moisture out of the steak and up to the surface and make the inside of your steak a little more dry. So I'm going to do the, when you're cooking, if you're new to cooking, which some people who are starting Bright Line Eating are, One clean hand, one dirty hand. So this one has touched the meat and this one has not. And I'm just going to wash my hands really quick because we don't want cross-contamination. When you've touched raw meat, you then don't want to touch anything else until you have washed your hands. I tend to be very, very careful with that. Okay, so now we have some olive oil, some salt, and some pepper on both sides of this steak. Now, I am going to set my steak aside, and we're going to start on our asparagus. Now, the only other things I've done to prep for today, because I wanted to show you end to end, this whole meal can be done, and it's not all that difficult. The only things I've done is I have washed my asparagus, I have preheated my oven to 375, and I have a cast iron pan preheating on the burner behind me. Everything else you are gonna see right here, right now. So I did weigh this asparagus because I don't know how much asparagus tends to shrink. I have about 12 ounces here. And all I'm gonna do is just chop off the ends. This is just organic asparagus. I like to get it a little bit narrower. I was a little intimidated by cooking asparagus. Years ago, it seemed beyond me, but it's really not that hard, especially to roast. Roasting it is super simple. So I'm just gonna trim the ends off here, and that's it. Now I'm gonna put these into a little baking dish that I have. There we go. And then the rest of this olive oil that I measured out before, I'm gonna dump that on top. I'm gonna drizzle that across here. And then I'm just gonna give this a little bit of salt and pepper on the asparagus, not too much. I prefer to save most of the seasoning for the table, and especially when, you know, salt and pepper, you don't want to get too salty or too peppery on your veggies. You can always add a little more salt or pepper when you get it on your plate. This is just a garlic seasoning. I'm just sprinkling a little bit of that on there. This has salt, garlic, and some herbs in it as well. So just put a little bit of that on there, and then I'll just give these a little bit of a shake to kind of coat the oil and the seasonings around on the asparagus. Okay, I'm gonna pop this into the 375-degree oven for about, I think about 15 minutes. Okay, all right. So now we're gonna get back to our steak, and this is gonna get interesting. The method of cooking the steak that we are going to use is pan roasting or pan searing. So what I'm gonna do is put the steak into the hot cast iron pan that I have over there, sear it on each side for about a minute or so, and then I'm going to put that pan directly in the oven to finish cooking the steak. So it'll get a nice crispy edges, nice crispy crust on the top and the bottom when I sear it in the hot pan, and then I'll put it right into the oven to finish it and bring it up to temperature. So I'm going to turn on my oven fan, and hopefully it won't get too loud, but otherwise this method can make a fair bit of smoke. I'm going to move you up a little bit and see. Sure, that'll be good. So you don't really need anything special to make a steak dinner at home. A good cut of steak. This is a tenderloin steak, by the way. Here it sizzles. This is a tenderloin steak. Just keeping my eye on the clock there. A 6-ounce tenderloin steak. As I said, tenderloin steak, the reason that I picked a tenderloin steak is because tenderloin steak tends to be a little bit leaner. So if you're trying to stick with leaner meat, not add a lot of extra fat into your diet. That's a good thing. Not that we really keep that much track of it, but within protein categories in Bright Line Eating, you can make, you know, different choices within your protein categories. I tend to like the leaner meats when I'm eating meat. So a tenderloin steak is basically the same as a filet mignon, just your tenderloin steak is, the filet mignon is cut from the center. Tenderloin steaks are cut from one of the either ends on either side of the center of the whole tenderloin. It's a boneless cut, and yeah, it doesn't have a lot of fat in it. It's not going to have a lot of gristle. So if you just get a nice tenderloin steak or filet mignon, that's a really great choice for a celebratory dinner. Still sticking, which means it's not ready yet. So you're going to want to let your steak sear for like 1 to 2 minutes, probably about 2 minutes per side. And then we're going to put it into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, maybe. We'll kind of check it and see how it goes. So as I was saying, when you're cooking a steak, really, besides a nice cut of meat, all you need is an oven-proof pan, which mine is cast iron. You don't necessarily have to use cast iron. You can use stainless steel or anything that can go directly into the oven. So you don't want a plastic handle, wood handle, anything like that. A nice pair of tongs is helpful to turn your steak. Some good salt, good pepper, good olive oil, and a digital thermometer so that you can tell when your steak is done without having to cut it open. Let's give this another peek. There we go. Turn it over, do the other side, and I'll show it to you seared before I throw it into the oven. So while that's searing, let's talk a little bit about Bright Line Eating. If you're new here, welcome. So glad to have you. So glad you could join us. If you want to see more of these Bright Line Bites videos, you can find them on our website at brightlineeating.com/resources. You can find them on the Facebook videos tab on our Facebook page, the Bright Line Eating Facebook page. You can find them on our YouTube channel. They're all over the place. You can find them. And the reason that this is called Bright Line Bites is because we tend to get a lot of, our social media team tends to get a lot of questions from people, especially those who are new, asking for recipes. What do I eat? How do I make a meal plan? What should I have for dinner? How do, you know, what kind of recipes, et cetera, et cetera. So we thought it would be really helpful to just demonstrate, answer those questions, demonstrate, give you some ideas, give you some cooking techniques. As I was saying earlier, a lot of people who come into Bright Line Eating maybe haven't really cooked for themselves. They haven't learned how to cook healthy meals. You've been eating from restaurants or prepared foods that are full of preservatives, you know, frozen dinners, things like that, that aren't really healthy. So you're learning how to cook healthy, and that's what we're here to help you with. The Bright Line Bites hashtag is something that our community uses. We use it, our community members use it. If you search that hashtag on Facebook or Instagram, you're going to find a whole bunch of really great ideas and beautiful photos of meals and dishes that people have made. And I'm going to check on my steak again. Okay, this is looking pretty good. So I think it's about ready to put in the oven. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So there's our seared steak. Nice and brown on both sides. And I'm going to pop this in the oven right with the asparagus. And we'll set a timer for 10 minutes and see how that goes. Okay, I'm going to move you back a little bit now so that you're not chopping the top of my head off while I'm talking to you. While those are cooking, we're going to make a salad for dinner. There we go. Okay. So get this stuff out of my way. Okay. So we're going to make a salad now. So in Bright Line Eating, the 4 bright lines are no sugar, no flour, all meals weighed and measured, and we only eat meals, no snacks. So for most people, that's 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the basics of the weight loss plan for dinner, which is what we're making here. Sorry, just clearing off my counter here a little bit so I have some room to work. Dinner is a protein serving, which for women is for meat, for women, 4 ounces. For men, that'd be 6 ounces. Some different proteins have different measurements, like beans are 6 ounces for either one. I almost forgot to put my scale under here. I got busy chatting and forgot. Okay, so protein serving, a veggie serving, which is 6 ounces of veggies, and then a salad, which is 8 ounces. Now, when you're making a salad, and a lot of people get confused about this, it is not just 8 ounces of lettuce. We'll glare on my scale there. Let me turn it so you can see it. And you can tell that this scale is well used. It's got drips on it from breakfast. Okay, so since this is a celebratory fancy dinner here, I got out my fancy Polish pottery plates, which I love, and we use for special occasions. So I usually like to do, this is romaine lettuce. I usually like to do about 3.5 ounces or so of romaine lettuce for a salad. Different lettuces weigh different amounts. So spring mix, something like that's going to be lighter. Grab a clean cutting board here. This is something that I like to do that makes my meal prep a little easier. I keep a dish in the fridge of some sliced up cucumbers and peppers. I eat those a lot. And having them pre-sliced in the fridge is really handy. So we have 3.4 ounces of romaine lettuce there. I'm going to chop up some cucumbers and some peppers on top. So your salad is not just 8 ounces of lettuce, it's 8 ounces of salad veggies. So you can put, you know, depending on how heavy your lettuce is, like 2 to 4 ounces of lettuce in, and then supplement with some other salad veggies, carrots, peppers, onions, mushrooms, tomatoes. So you can see right there, the cucumbers are a lot heavier than the lettuce, obviously. I am almost up to 8 ounces with just that. I sometimes do this. I'll take a few of those out of there and put them back in my dish for another day, because I want to throw a little bit of tomato on top of here. I can probably turn my oven fan off there. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. 7.7. Good. Have a couple little tomatoes on top to get this up to 8 ounces. The scale that I'm using here is the OXO scale, which is the same one I believe that Susan uses. 8 ounces, we're gonna stay there, we're a hair under. Oven's beeping at me. 8 ounces, I think we'll stay there. Okay, so that's your side salad for your dinner. And isn't that just lovely and fresh looking? So I'm gonna set that aside. And let's see here. Set my scale aside. Okay. So we have a few more minutes left on the steak, and I knew this was going to happen. It would be all a whole bunch of prep, and then we wait for it to cook. So let's chit chat a little bit while we're waiting for that stuff to cook. So let's see, we covered the 4 bright lines. We covered bright line bites. Let's talk a little bit more about having a special meal to celebrate an occasion. This is something that we talked about at holiday time. There were a couple of holiday bright line bite lives that I did just before Christmas, where we were talking about, you know, sometimes if you, especially if you're new to your bright line eating journey and you have a special occasion coming up, you might feel a certain amount of grief over not being able to have, say, pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving or birthday cake on your birthday. So reframing that thought from thinking about what you're missing to thinking about what a beautiful, abundant, delicious dinner you could have for that occasion is a wonderful reframe and a great way to just think about things in a new way and retrain your brain to not be fixated on those, you know, treats or desserts or, you know, whatever the case may be. So this this dinner, there was a vlog that Susan shot last summer that was about her birthday, and she was talking about the special dinner that she had for her birthday. And that one is another great one to watch if you're thinking, you know, I have this event coming up, that celebration coming up. How do I handle it? What do I do? What can I eat? And there was another one that she just recently shot, the weekly vlog, that was about, is it okay to enjoy my food? So just because, you know, you're following this meal plan doesn't mean that your food has to be boring. And yes, there is a danger in getting your food too sexy, but usually that means that you don't want to be making complicated recipes. You don't necessarily want to be making mimic foods where you're trying to fudge the meal plan. That was a bad choice of words. You're not trying to finagle the meal plan into old types of eating. So, you know, trying to mimic things like pasta or pizza or bread or cakes or, you know, there's all sorts of things. For some people that might work well. If you're high on the susceptibility scale, or if you're new to this program and trying to get some automaticity in place, doing that sort of stuff can really hamper you from really getting your automaticity, basically. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, the sweatshirt, the Brightline Eating Emporium. I want to tell you about that because we have this beautiful shop on Amazon, and there's some really great stuff on there. If you are looking to buy a gift for Valentine's Day, maybe drop a hint to someone for something you'd like for Valentine's Day, or if you'd like to pick up something for yourself because you're celebrating 100 days, a certain amount of weight released, 500 days, 1,000 days, maybe you're just celebrating, who knows what, anything, a birthday, an anniversary, a special achievement, a non-scale victory, anything. Check it out. There's some really beautiful stuff in there that can reaffirm your identity as a Brightliner, and there's some great tools in there as well. There are these super cozy sweatshirts, which I am not kidding. This is my favorite sweatshirt. It is so comfy. We have the books in there, the official Brightline Eating cookbook and Susan Pierce Thompson's first book, Brightline Eating. You can buy them right in there. The cookbook is available hard copy and as a digital and ebook, like a Kindle book. The original Brightline Eating book is now also available in paperback. This is my other favorite, the food journal. I happen to have a fun orange gel pen that I like to use with mine, but the official Brightline Eating food journal is amazing and beautiful. It's got this awesome bookmark inside that comes out so you can always, and it hooks onto the spine so that you can always flip right to today and check out your meal plan. There are places in here to write your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. There are little gold star stickers at the back. You know what? I can show you mine because I had a Brightline day yesterday. There are these little gold star stickers in the back. And at the end of your Brightline day, you can put them down at the, I lost it. You can put them down at the bottom and say, yep, I had my Brightline day today. And there are some beautiful quotes in here to inspire you. It lays flat, so it's easy to write in, which I love. Just our team that put these together put every possible thought into them of anything you could need. The food plan is in here. There are tracking sheets in the beginning, you know, the cool coloring sheets that you see people using online, these coloring sheets where you can track your days. They're just, it's amazing. This was a little gift that I gave to myself because I wanted to. I felt like it. All right, our oven just beeped. So let's check out this steak and asparagus and see how we're doing. Hot pan. Get my pen out of here. And digital thermometer. I could not cook without one of these. Turn it on. If you're cooking meat with a bone, you want to put it away from the bone. Get it right into the middle as much as you can. We are already, whew, this one might be medium well, a little bit more cooked than I would have liked, but that's a-okay. I am going to, what I'm going to do, because I don't want to use the tongs from before because they touched the raw meat. So I want to get this off the hot pan so that it doesn't continue cooking. So now I'm just going to let the steak rest for a few minutes and we can check out the asparagus. Here's our asparagus. Now I would like the asparagus to be kind of fork tender, but not too floppy. Still a little crisp, but able to be pierced with a fork. That looks pretty darn good. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Because now that everything is cooked, we have to weigh and measure it and put it on our beautiful plate. So let me get my scale back out here. Turn it to the side so you can see it and I can see it. And now, I don't know why I just zeroed that out. It's force of habit. What I'm going to do with my steak is I'm going to lift it up for a sec, put my plate down. I'm going to zero this out. This is one of the beautiful things about this OXO scale. My plate's too big, so I can pull the faceplate out. Zero that out, put my steak on, 4.8 ounces. So what I'll do is I'll trim a little tiny bit off the edge of this steak, and then somebody else can enjoy that little bit. Son would probably love to have that. 4.2. Just a little hair to trim off here. And why is it important to be this precise? Integrity. It's integrity with your food. 4.1. And also, it's not having to negotiate about your food. Okay, I'm gonna put this one little piece back. There we go, 4.0. It's not having to negotiate. Oh, that's a little over, is it okay? Is 0.1 okay, is 0.2 okay? You know what, don't need to worry about it. 4.0 exactly. Now I'm gonna zero this again and put 6 ounces of asparagus on here. 4.7. So we started with 12 ounces. I'm just, actually, you know what? I'm going to throw it all on here just to see how much it cooked down. Just for educational purposes. Why not? Research. 9 ounces. So that cooked down by also about 25%. So I will take 3 ounces back off of here and I will enjoy that another day, probably for lunch, or maybe I'll stick it in the fridge so that I have some extras in case my dinner comes up a little short. Back and forth, back and forth. This is the bright line eating dance. Perfect. Okay. Scooch my pan out of my way here a little bit. All right, I just want to show you this whole beautiful meal that we just made. A gorgeous pan-seared tenderloin steak with asparagus and a lovely salad. There you go. If that isn't a celebratory meal, I don't know what is. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. On this salad, I'm not just going to eat it dry. I'll throw a little bit of balsamic vinegar on there. I'm not going to do it now because I'm not going to actually eat the salad till later and I don't want to make my salad soggy, but I'll have a little balsamic vinegar with that. And that's it. This is dinner right here. Pretty simple. If you know the basic techniques, roasting your asparagus and pan roasting your steak, throwing together a salad, not too difficult, but this is a special meal that you could have for whatever special occasion. So I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and check out the Bright Line Eating Emporium and all the awesome stuff that we have in there. And join me in 2 weeks on the next Bright Line Bites Live. 2 weeks, same time, same, also on Monday. And I do believe we're going to be making it'll be a whole food plant-based one so that we balance it out. No meat next time. Whole food plant-based tofu and veggie bowl. Asian inspired, like a stir fry type of cauliflower rice bowl with tofu and veggies. So that'll be exciting. So I look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, have a great, beautiful, bright day. Bye.